Okay. Okay. Kanji's been a grumpus this whole time. He's barking because someone's mowing the lawn outside. Heaven forbid. So it'll be interesting to make sure he's not too loud. I think everything's set up correctly. I had a long day. What did I do today? I was at a seminar for leadership. So that was my work day. Ooh. Okay. So this evening, I am making some Leblanc curry. This was probably one I wanted to save for when I was like, oh, okay, here. It's a big warning. Hey, Onichi-chan. But last week was a little weird. I didn't stream, and I was like, you know what? I really need some curry. So I figured, why not? Why not make this one? Maybe it'll make more appearances. But this is one I really like. I've had... So I usually do this one with chicken. And I've had people ask... You can see, I told you, Kanji's angry. He doesn't want people doing their lawn while it's hot outside. He's very upset about that situation. No, now you're judging me? I see how it is, pooch. I had someone ask, how can you make this recipe vegan? Or not vegan, vegetarian. Because there is yogurt in it. I guess you could remove the yogurt and just replace it with coconut milk. But the chicken, I would completely replace with mushrooms, probably. I do have a different curry recipe on my site that's udon curry, and that one's completely vegetarian. I'm not going to say vegan because there is yogurt in it also. The yogurt helps to keep it a little less spicy. So, but I am making chicken. I've also decided I'm not making the whole recipe. Because it usually calls for 4 pounds of chicken, and that is when I'll make it on the weekend, and I'm going to be eating it for a week. Well, not just me and Jeff. But since we're in the middle of the week, and I was like, this takes a little longer, I've cut the recipe to like 2/3, so the accuracy is not going to be 100%. With like the numbers on the website. I've done this one enough times that I could kind of finagle it a little bit. That's just how I do things. So I know right away I need to start up, because there's a lot of cutting, there's a lot of like getting things in here in this wonderful pot before we need to get to the roux. This recipe is probably a little more intensive than a lot of the other ones on the site. It is my most popular one on the site. It's the one I've seen a lot of people make, because I mean, everyone wants to make Leblanc curry. So I do really enjoy it, and I make it a lot. But I'm going to start. So yeah, you can see all my stuff is still kind of put together. The only thing I've done is put flour in here, and I cooked my rice already because I didn't want to worry about that while things were going on. Now I have to... Got my peeler, and I gotta get a knife. Should be fine at this point. Yes, this is a Japanese style curry. I don't use a cube because I've bought the cubes a few times and I've always been a little disappointed by it, but you could use it if that's what you want. I did a bunch of research and kind of looked up what were typical ingredients and took like points from the game to make my own roux. So yeah, and the nice thing is this holds up extremely well. Oh yeah, Onichi-chan, if you do want, there we go. That pushes you to the recipe for this one specifically. Something I didn't check if I had tonkatsu sauce. I usually do, and I don't. It's usually a thing I pick up across town from the Japanese market. Haven't been to the Japanese market in a few weeks, and I'm actually out. Hi, Nina. How are you? You're actually here. Hi. Are you still working, or are you just getting out of work? No. So this time around, it was it was a story. So I got it redone 2 weeks ago now, but I went in on a Tuesday, and they were like, "Okay." I said, "Well," because it had faded at that point. I'm like, I kind of like where this is, but I want it to be a little like done up because my roots were coming in, and they were like, "Oh." So do you want that or the neon that we did? I was like, I want something in between, in between the neon and this kind of like washed out color. And they're like, okay. She's like mixing the thing, and when I see her bring the thing out, I'm like, that looks pretty neon. She's like, oh, we won't put it on for long. So she puts it on, and I'm like, okay, this looks bright. She's like, we're gonna leave it on for not that long. And they wash it out, and I'm like, this is neon again. It was like the bright neon again. And I was like, okay, I'll deal with it. I could go wash it at home a few times and it'll tone it down. Well, I did that, and then it started like spotting in specific spots. And there was a coworker of mine who's like, hey, you don't let the dye sit long enough. It's kind of like your roots are like almost blonde. And I'm like, no. The place was nice enough that I got to go in Thursday, and a different person saw me real quick, and they redid the dye, and they're like, okay, we've made a note and wrote down exactly what numbers we use, so now we know what to use. In the end, it was like fine, but when it was happening, I was like, oh no. Hey, Opie. I want to do the onion first. I'm like, potato, you could wait. You won't take long. I'm like, I want to peel things. I want to get it all done. Oh my God. And so all this happened the week before I had to go to a wedding in Florida. And I was like, I called and I was like, they're like, oh, your specific stylist could see you next Tuesday. And I'm like, I have a wedding. I don't want to look like this. Things are going well, but I was just like, really? Like after the whole thing, I was like, ugh, maybe I need to go find a different salon. See if there's a place that could do things better. And I'm like, oh my gosh. It was a headache, but they were really nice. The day I did go back Thursday, two Thursdays ago now, it was, my appointment was at 2:30, and I'm sitting at work at a meeting at 2, and I'm like, okay, I gotta go. I need to start getting ready. Waiting in the meeting. They're still going. Okay, 2:15, I gotta go. And then it starts pouring rain. And I'm like, oh no. So I have my appointment, I run, and then I run over there. But the place was nice enough. They were like, oh, we have dryers. You could go put a robe on and we'll dry your clothes. I'm like, well, that's nice. So, Opie, my advice to you on that is don't be afraid. Like places like that, they do like you calling and saying, hey, my hair doesn't look right. Maybe you could fix it. And they'll typically help you out. They'll be pretty nice. I guess it depends on the kind of salon you're at. But if you're paying good money to get your hair cut and you aren't happy, they will like try and take care of you to redo it. Okay. Also, the Conjucam is, it's probably not going to last too long. I put them there for now, but since a lot of the cooking is going to happen here, you can see I've cleverly set up my stuff because I still haven't bought the attachments that I need for hooking up the camera a little better. One nice thing is the webcam that's on that tripod there, I had to buy a new tripod head, so I had an extra attachment, so I have my camera with one and then this with one. Send you to the wives to get your hair washed. say if you're really unhappy about it, call them. Places like that definitely will work with you. Hi, Lemon Drop. How are you? I want to make sure with everyone, because I don't have Jeff checking. Jeff's out tonight. Can you hear the game music, and is my volume okay? Want to make sure, because came home and then rushed. Jeff and I just finished Heaven's Ward, and we're currently working through like the middle portion before Stormblood. And the quality of the story writing in that game has vastly improved from when I played so long ago, so that's very nice. Sam, you can't go to the HEB, you gotta go to the Japanese market. So I will say $17 for a cut's not... I'm jealous. Women's haircuts. Ugh. Alright, you don't hear any game music. Thank you. Alright. Oh no! I've never... Yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited to get... So it's weird playing... It's weird playing Heaven's Ward and having seen trailers for Shadowbringers and being like, okay, I should not have watched any of those trailers. That might be what I'm trying to do. Alright. Awesome. Awesome. No, even better. What you could do is just, drive 3.5 hours into Houston. Don't do that. That would be a bad idea. I'm really bad with spoilers. Well, and I think my mindset when we were playing, because Shadowbringers was being announced, and I was like, okay, cool. I'm excited about the game. We're playing again. And I remember when we played Realm Reborn, me being like, I hate the story. Like, I did not care much for the story. And I was like, oh, whatever. I kind of saw some things. And believe me, I saw things. And I'm like, what? I don't get what's happening. So that's always a fun thing. Oh, and I know several people today sent me the cooking Breath of the Wild recipes, all 76 in a day. I have not watched all of it. I started because I was at a seminar today, and I started watching part of it when I was setting this up. And the first thing I see is him going to the pumpkin, and the way he cut it, he almost cut his thumb, and I got very nervous. And I was like, no. So I'm curious to see how they do things. Like I jumped to the section where they're like, oh, now we're steaming some vegetables. And I'm like, oh, they're taking it very literally. Sam, let's talk about your game being at the SOM event. That's so cool. I imagine the entire thing is goofs. Like, most of the time when big publications do like video game food stuff themselves, it's usually a good ha ha ha. Sam, that game is fun. You did make art. Very good. I'm super excited for you. I am like, hell yeah. I know him. Whoops. It's like I put my mic thing in a different spot trying to see if it cuts out less. So we'll see. Half of this red onion. You can see, you can tell I'm hungry because I'm sitting here munching on onions. This is definitely later than I would usually start making dinner, but I knew I was going to be across town. And I was like, oh, I don't know when I'm going to get back home and be able to start this. Me not planning ahead, forgot I had this seminar. And I was like, oh. No, I was just talking about that Opie. I saw several people link it to me. I started watching the first few minutes of it. And, like, when the guy was cutting the pumpkin open, I was like, oh, no, he almost cut his hand. And I got very worried. But I will watch it probably this evening after I'm done. What was that, Kanji? I think something fell over there. Okay, is it a bunch of goofs or were they seriously cooking it? That's what I thought. See? Like I said, them games journalists and their goofs. So yeah, I'll probably enjoy that this evening. Kanji, why do I even... Kanji, the people want to see you. But I guess I'll just move your camera because you're being an upsetty pants today. Little floof. There, yeah. It's not, and that's why when I saw make all 76 recipes in a day, I'm like, I've made a handful of those recipes, and oof. So I'm gonna turn the kanji cam off for a moment because I'm gonna move it, and I don't want to make you all dizzy while that happens. And hopefully I don't bump into this one. Whoop. I'm like, let me grab this. Don't think I need it, but just in case. Ooh. Oh, hello, husband. Are you showing me to your family? Okay, that's like completely off. Oh, Jeff, you could also give... I'm gonna leave that like that for now because I'm still cutting and nothing like... I think for the most part it's not gonna be... Until I'm making the roux. We will probably keep it in the small camera. Make it a little bigger. A little bigger. Bam! Wham bam. Alright, so all I've done so far oh no! Careful. Yeah, I assume as a person who cooks... Where did I put... There it is. As a person who cooks, I'll be sad. Okay. Onions. I'm kind of lazy, and I'm looking at the garlic, and I'm like, oof. So, I actually have to kind of pre-prep. Let me read. Place in the deep hot saute. Season the chicken. Add the chicken to the pot and cook until brown. I do think, yeah, I thought it was interesting that they included Eater on that. So I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. So they get to do, had a foodie there. I mean, Eater's where I get my news on like the latest, greatest. Oh, this new restaurant is opening here. Go check it out. They have all like city specific ones too. Don't worry, Kanji. You're not on camera anymore. You could go do whatever the hell you want. And I had the bag of treats prepped for you too. Alright. Yeah, so Eater is a nice website where they essentially, the big thing they do is they have a Eater 38 map for specific cities. So if you're in a big city, they'll have like food reviewers and they'll go to different places and they'll give you like the new news of like, oh, this place is opening at this point and this is a great place to go, or here are our top 15 burgers that we found currently, and they'll update those lists probably, I'd say at least every 6 months, so they keep up with what's currently in the know for a city. So I should be able to cut my chicken. Oh my god, did that move? It did! Oh. This is why. Alright. Maybe this weekend I'll order a thing and figure that out. Maybe a third webcam. Maybe. I'll let that heat up. Oh no! 0. No! So with my chicken, I'm currently just going to take it and cut it into bite-sized pieces. There's no rules to it. A lot of this could be whatever size you want. They don't have to be exactly the same. It's all going to cook in there, so you'll be fine. Fridge cam. You just want a camera in the fridge, nice and cold? Yeah, that'll be what the third one's for usually. It's kind of... Actually, my fridge cam will make a lot of people upset because my fridge is usually very full. But that's because I do a lot of cooking. So, whenever people ask me what is the most important piece of equipment I should have in a kitchen, my answer is a good knife. Like, they're pricey. This knife is now 8 years old, because, yeah, we got it for our wedding. And I'm super happy. Like, it looks still very new. They're easy to take care of. And, yeah. I've recently got the gloves, because sometimes dealing with chicken, I'm going to have to go back and forth on things. I'm like, I just don't want to have chicken hands. I'm like, ew, chicken hands. Anything else, I don't care. I think I originally bought the gloves just for peppers, hot peppers. And because I've learned my lesson with that one. Woof. I have goofed. Many a times I have goofed. Where it's like, oh, I cut a bunch of peppers and I've removed seeds. Oh, put hands to eyes. Oops. Ooh. I do have... Yeah, this is like a traditional German one. I do have one, like a smaller Japanese style knife. And they're both really nice. Since I know I'm going to be doing a lot of cutting, I'm like, whatever. I'll just grab the chef knife. Oh my god, yours have sheaths? I'm jealous. That is pretty sweet. How, If you don't mind me asking, Opa, what part of the Bay Area are you in again? Really? And they have nothing in like the San Jose region? That seems silly. So I know I'm warming. Cool. Almost done with the chicken. So, as I mentioned earlier, I only have, this is 2.38 pounds, according to my HEB label there. So the recipe usually calls for 4, but I'm not doing a full recipe. I'm doing like a 2/3 portion. Just still a lot of curry. This will probably make 6, 8, between 6 to 8 portions for us. So that'll last us a bit. So I guess they don't have like a writer in that region. There you go, Pi. Talk to them. Say, yo, you want someone to go eat food and tell you what to eat? Yeah, I've noticed with like smaller cities, I think when we visited, let's just take this one off. Where'd we go? Oh, we went to Tampa recently, and I was like, oh, no, does Tampa have one? I forget where it was, but they were like, oh, we had this post in like 2015 because it's not one of our major cities. That is not my grammar salon. Boop, 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 boop. Nice. See? There you go. You're a foodie. So you're set. I know at one point the one here was like, oh, we're looking for people. And I was like, maybe it would be fun to do that, but I don't eat out enough to warrant doing like food reviews. I've done them occasionally, like on the site. Like I covered when we did Burger Miss that one time where I was like, oh, these were my favorite places that we checked out. But I have a hard time like writing reviews of things and being like, oh, this is my thoughts about this. And this is how I feel about this food. But if you ask me, oh, what are the best places to eat in Houston? I'll tell you. Heck yeah. Also, yeah, congrats on your job again. So you had that scare of like, oh no, they only have an office all the way X amount of miles away. Whoops. Okay. This pan now has to be really hot. Not thinking. Nope. I got a grumpy dog. Grumpiest dog in all the land. Again, neighbors doing their lawn. How dare they? So I'm gonna have to... Nope, not the chicken. I could follow my own instructions. So I'm putting... Yeah, very hot. I'm putting my onions and my red onions. Gonna lower that heat. In here. And I'm gonna let them cook for about 3-4 minutes until they are a little transparent. We just want them to soften. And then we will put the chicken in there. Oh, it's really spicy in there. No, it's not spicy. Has to be a nice feeling. Opine. Just be like, okay, we're going back to some normalcy here. Yeah. Little. Actually, I could, since I am right now, it's going to be a lot of action over there. What do they do to a recipe? I mean, they add flavor. They add a nice... They add a nice oniony flavor to it. I like them. I know I have friends that are very... Ooh, no. Why would you do that? Don't put that in yet, because I reduced this heat. No, I have one friend, I should say. I don't have friends. Some people don't like it because of the texture. But a lot of times I think they add a nice... This is where I have issues describing. Oh, that's right. There's supposed to be a little bit of garlic, but I'm lazy. I'll throw a little garlic paste in just so the flavor's there. And since I've already used my board with the chicken. Yeah, I think the sweet, it adds a little bit of sweetness, depending on the onion you're using too. Red onions, I think, tend to be the more bitter one. It's definitely not as sulfury as, say, an egg, but yeah, it's a good description. I mean, this weekend I made French onion soup where you have to like slowly caramelize the onions. So it takes about an hour to get it at the right state. So there's a lot of methods. Onions just make things delicious. Congee bones. Alright, so that's at a good enough spot. I'm gonna go ahead and throw in the chicken and block your view. Alright, I'm gonna have to wash that up. Here's my chicken. There might be more onion than there should be. That's okay. That's okay. This is what happens when I decide to cut a recipe by a certain amount, but not exactly in half. I mean, I guess it's mostly half, but I was like, I can't have 1.5 potatoes, because that won't hold. So I want to make sure my cutting board is extra clean because there's chicken and I'm going to be putting non-raw items in soon. Is it still out of focus? This camera is much older, so it can be a little funky. Let me look. After I clean my knife, I will give it a look-see. I think the camera has to be probably 10 plus years old. That one. Okay, so I just had to show it who's boss. I'm gonna back it up a little bit. There we go. Now, so that's gonna do its thing. We'll switch back. Boop. This still has soap. Alright, so I need to prep. So I have my chicken going in, and that's gonna do its thing for about 10 minutes. I want it to brown up. Then I'm going to add the carrots, this chicken stock, the water, and bay leaves. And that's going to reduce to a simmer for a bit. And that's when I'm bring it to a boil, reduce it to a simmer, and then once it's simmering, then I add the potatoes. So the carrots happen first. Carrots with the the grated apples happen after the potatoes get in. Cool. Yep. So yeah, I know when we went to Japan, had a decent amount of curry. And I was like, oh, this is so good. It's better than what I've had here stateside. And it might have been what I've had before. I had slightly different taste buds. my flavor ones were a little different, and now I'm like, oh, okay. The nice thing with the Japanese curry is it is a little sweeter than, say, your Indian curries or other curries out there. So I think it is a good introductory curry to try. The nice thing is, yeah, for the most part, you just let it kind of do its thing. Yes, so if we do exclamation point menu, this, yeah, it's still working. That is the exact recipe that we are working with today. Which right now, I am loosely following it. By loosely, I'm mostly following it. I don't have as much chicken in there. I think in the process of not thinking, I put a lot of onions in. But that's fine. Did I? There it is. I'm like, where'd I put my plate? Boop. So, what does the recipe say? What did I write here? Cut into bite-sized pieces. So a lot of this recipe is like, just cut it into bite-sized pieces. Good enough. You don't have to be crazy exact with anything. So now after a while, the carrots do get too wide, so it's better to kind of cut that in half. Now, when I did come up with this recipe, I did listen to a lot of the curry facts that they had in the game. Sojiro will tell you different like elements that he kind of adds to his curry and ways that you can play with the flavors. And some of the things included like, oh, adding apple, adding chocolate, which is in the recipe. And something my husband and I talked about for a bit was, oh, it's a coffee shop. Do we add the coffee into the curry? And our end decision was, no, it shouldn't be. He serves the coffee there. It's a separate element at the restaurant. It's a coffee and curry shop. And I'm not a coffee drinker, but Jeff is. He has said that this recipe goes extremely well with a cup of coffee, and it is recommended in the website to, if you like coffee, serve yourself a cup. It pairs very nicely with it. Boop, boop. Just pieces. Turn my heat down too much. didn't. Alright. And the potatoes just say peeled and cubed. I started peeling this one earlier because I was like, oh yeah, I'll just prep everything. And I'm like, that's a bad idea. Because then there'll be points where I'd be standing here like, I could be doing something, but I prepped everything. So I felt like doing this one kind of more along the lines of how I would typically cook, where I'm not prepping too far in advance. I do recommend for people who aren't used to a recipe, go ahead, prep all your cutting ahead of time. Don't stress out while stuff is cooking, so you're like, oh no, I have to hurry up and get it all done. I kind of can move quickly enough because I'm comfortable in the kitchen to be able to have things ready when I need it. There are recipes I've done that I'm like, okay, no, I know I have to prep all this because it's a quick cook. So any like stir fries and stuff, it's just like, no, prep before you start. Whoop. Wee. Your favorite part? Wanted to do one with like half sweet potato. Because I really like sweet potato. What did it? Oh, for 4th of July, I was just like, I'm going to cook up some steaks. Because, oh boy, I went to H-E-B. And they had these nice pieces of bone-in ribeye steaks. I was like, oh, okay, well, I wanted to cook some. And they were $3 a pound. So I got three big steaks for $14. And I was like, well, I'm living like a king right now. So I did that and I bought like sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are nice and easy because you just turn an oven on to like 425 and then you rub the sweet potato with like olive oil, put it on there and put it in there for an hour. And it just makes itself. And that's all you need. You could throw some butter on there if you want it, but it doesn't need it. It's a nice little sweet thing. This potato's huge. Look, it's the size of my head. See, I hear where things are cooking nice and quicker. Listen, if potatoes are your favorite part, do you have a specific kind of potato you like? Or you just like any potato? Or just potatoes and curry is your favorite part? Whoop, whoop. The little potato ears? Eyes? Ears? I don't know. Just gonna make words up. So I went to a seminar in curry. Usually just have it regular. I would be curious about sweet potato in one. Because yeah, I think for the most part it's just like brown potatoes, right, in curry. All curries probably. Whatever potato's the cheapest. Oop, okay, we're almost there to be able to add our liquids and the carrots. Boop, 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 boop. Let me rinse these guys off. No, one thing I wanted to say about raw chicken. I used to do this, but I don't anymore. Don't really rinse your chicken. I guess studies have shown that if you rinse your chicken, you're more likely to spread the salmonella around. So the salmonella will cook off as it cooks. So you're keeping that contained. Boo, boo, boo. Ooh, I was like, where's my grater? Up there it is. Not washed. I'll get that in a moment. Yeah, give that doggo a walk. I got lucky. Jeff was nice and walked Kanji before I got home, and I was like, why'd you walk? It was hot. He's like, there was a cloud. Like, it was still hot. Some of these pieces are huge. I don't want to cut them too small because then they could become mush. Good enough. Boop. Okay. I know I haven't kept up with it. I know Persona 5R had another trailer come out. I haven't watched it yet. But it sounded like they changed things with An, which will be nice because her character had a very weird story arc. I don't know how I felt, but it was kind of... It almost felt like she fell back into the same trap that she was in before her change. Alright. Almost there. So, I know on the recipe it says about 10 minutes, but again, with a lot of recipes, you do have to kind of eyeball it. So it depends on the size of your pan, the size of your, how much of the chicken you're using, and how much it's going to cook. So I've gotten better with explaining that. Kanji is 7.5. 7.5 and grumpy. He's a grumpy, middle-aged dog. Okay. Yeah, that's in a good spot. So, recipe says add the carrots. Get in there, carrots. You're going to add nice color. What I'll probably not add is the since I'm kind of like doing 2/3 of a recipe, between 2/3, 3/4 of a recipe. I won't add the water. I'll just do all chicken stock. And I think the reason I was like, I did the cup of water is because most of the time when I see big chicken stock things, it comes in 4 cups. You could buy a smaller one, but it tends to be more expansive. And I didn't want people to have to deal with opening another one just for another cup. I think that was my logic behind it. You could in theory just use all chicken stock. Again, recipes are always a... Actually, maybe I did do a whole... That it needs the... and the bay leaf. The bay leaf, Kanji. Kanji looked at me and then licked his lips thinking he was getting bay leaf. Because it's a Ziploc bag and it sounds like I was opening it for him to eat. And it's like... no, Kanji. They ain't for you. So I need to wait for that to come to a boil. And then we'll reduce it down to a simmer and then add the potatoes in there. And this apple, which we just need to grate. Great. So I'm going to remove the skin with the peeler. You do it with a knife. I've done it. Just found that the peeler does it. I don't have to worry about like my hand slipping and accidentally cutting myself. Ooh, another reason I do tell people to get a nice knife is because most of the time when you cut yourself with a knife, it is because your knife is not sharpened. So when you buy a nice knife, you want to make sure you have some way to sharpen it. People have given me like gadgets to sharpen things, and just found that the like sharpening stick works. Sharpening stick. Heard people talk about like actual like stones that they use, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Just haven't really like looked into that. Whoop. Alright. This is 50. I said 50 grams worth. So one, maybe Kanji will get a piece of apple. We'll see. Now he's behaving. It does look cooler. I do agree with the little sharpening stick thing. So I'm just rinsing my grater. I think I used it this morning for cheese. Makes you look, you know, like when Gordon Ramsay does it on his TV shows, like super fast. Don't do it if you're not confident. So, bring your boil, reduce, simmer to a simmer. Add the potatoes and the grated apple. Place the lid slightly ajar and simmer for 30 minutes. I'm going to grate an apple. Let me think how I want to do this, because I've done it in numerous ways. I'm going to cut pieces off. This apple's a little sad in the center. Big grates. It's going to kind of... We'll go with big grates today. I think I usually do the smaller grate, but I'm curious now. It'll probably mostly dissolve either way because it's apple. It's mostly moisture. Whoop, whoop. Get nice grating sounds. So a grater is sharp, and you want to make sure when you're doing it, you're not getting your fingers too close, because you will cut yourself, and you don't want that. Whoop! Also, you don't want to drop it. I said I was going to give you a piece. Whoops, Kanji. Can you see it? Can you see? There you go. Little piece of apple. I'm sorry. Okay, so that's definitely a lot of years of getting used to things. if I were a beginner cook, I definitely would not be doing that. They say safety first. Be careful. Don't look at the grater. Just look at the camera. Might have to add a little bit of water in here. But we'll see. Once I add the potatoes and the apple. Just looks like cheese. Mmm. I think I have. I could not pinpoint a exact moment. Probably when I got angry at cakes. Oh my god. I ate a cake this weekend. I was testing out a Black Forest cake. And oops. The cake ended up being like this tall. And I was like, well, this ain't good. And the frosting I used with it is delicious, but it was a little bit of a weaker frosting. So when you cut the pieces, it kind of just went blah. I'm like, well, this tastes good, but this looks horrendous. So, times I'm like, why do I make cakes? I think if I were to pick one thing I am good at doing, no, I'm going to say I'm okay at doing. I'm not the best. Is cakes. I hate them, and there is a reason why we don't see them too often on the site. Because they take a lot of work. And just have some cupcakes. They're easier. They're handheld. They're easier to make look pretty too. Now Kanji is just staring at me like, oof, what are you doing? Why aren't you sharing more? That's all you get. You had your dinner. You had a little piece of apple. You had some treats too. You're done. There we go. Slight boil. Gonna reduce that to a simmer. I'm probably gonna shuffle that over soon because it is gonna get covered. Yep. No, don't eat the potato, Kanji. No, he's very good. He's sitting there. I know any other dog would like run over and immediately grab that. So let's make sure that focuses correctly. Probably gonna need to add some water. Unless, let me see. Yeah, I'm gonna need to add a little bit of water. So I want to make sure I mix it all in. I'm gonna be here for a little bit. Let me switch that. Boop. All right. I know with this camera right now, it has the autofocus, so it will hop a little bit. And I apologize for that. But I know the distance of stuff is kind of changing as we go. Yeah, I need to grab maybe a cup of water. We got that. We got us some Volsey. Hey, Volsey, how are you? That's good enough. So, this has hit the... splatters all over. This is at the point I want it to come to a light. I've added more cold in there. So, it's going to take a little bit. Volsey, I understand. It's been like, I think the heat indexes here have been at like 100 plus. Now, yeah, it's just like, it's awful. I assume, let me see. So I know there is something in the Gulf right now. This is the life I live. Yeah, you're probably good. Ooh, the 7 o'clock update came out. Okay. So there is like a tropical storm disturbance in the coast, and I'm like, ugh. 90-degree weather sounds lovely right now. So I've been. Hurricane season is my least favorite season. I was sitting there for a bit just watching it, and I'm like, oh, I don't want. It's July. It's early. I don't need this already. But we're looking good. We're looking good. But I feel really awful for the people in New Orleans because they're already dealing with like the rain from it, and it hasn't even formed or gone in that direction. So hopefully the city's safe. I didn't think California got that hot in the hundreds. Okay. Slightly ajar. So I'm gonna do this. So you're gonna be like peeking. No, it's not gonna show up. Actually, I'm gonna switch the camera real quick. Yes! I love this recipe. It is one of my favorites that I've developed. And it's definitely one that a lot of people have made, which I'm always so excited when I see people making it. So, and it makes a lot of leftovers. So when you make it, you will be eating curry for a while. Especially if you make the amount that the recipe originally calls for, which I've kind of done right now. So that's going to be going for... Oh, perfect. And also, how are you this evening, Gory? Yeah, the sun makes things worse. Makes it hot. Oh, I mean, the biggest issue here in Houston is it's real hot, and then the humidity is like 100%, and it's like, I'm swimming outside. Yes. It is. Yeah. I was looking at my the numbers on the website, and yeah, this recipe is the one that's easily been looked at the most, and I've seen a lot of pictures from it. A lot of people have redone it, so it's like, oh, yay! Ooh. Well, enjoy your read of the Narnia series. I need some water. So yeah, now this recipe gets into like the simple part. We have the time for it to cook. So what I will prep right now is my spice mix. So with this recipe, figure out, let me check one thing. Don't think I have any tonkatsu, but there might be some in the pantry. Nope. 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 So tonkatsu is kind of a sweeter sauce. I'm like, maybe a barbecue sauce would work. Oops. Substitute. Let me check real quick. What I can make a homemade tonkatsu. Probably don't have any of the ingredients needed for it. Ketchup. Worcestershire sauce. I have and sugar. Maybe I could get away with honey. Yeah, I definitely don't have. I have tomato paste, and I know I need tomato paste for the recipe. Maybe honey and the Worcestershire sauce would be good. Ketchup. I don't buy ketchup usually because it's like we don't go through the ketchup quick enough, so it's like, oh no, wrong camera. We don't want that. We want that one. Let's see. This one. Ketchup. Dang on ketchup. See a lot of them just calling for sugar. Might do honey instead. Extra tomato paste. Oh. Honey. Actually, this recipe call for. I already put honey in this. Okay. Hello, Kanji. Yep. I run into things. See, I have honey, sugar. And yes. Oh my gosh, where it? There it is. Just had a moment like, oh no, where's my stuff? All right. Hi, Kanji. Wait. Oh my god, I'm blind. I do have tonkatsus. All that for nothing. Bam, the bulldog. You can pick this up at your local like Japanese market. You can also grab it on Amazon. Because until you open it, it could be stored in the pantry, so it doesn't have to sit there. And the shelf life is pretty long. Pretty sure about this. I want to say shelf life's usually 2 years at least. And I've had no issues with it sitting in the fridge for long periods of time. Hooray! I don't have to like make things up. I was worried that I wasn't going to follow my recipe. But I do need to check this. I don't want to use that. There we go. Let's get some ghee. So this was the first time I bought like this. I usually buy tomato paste in like cans, but I always find myself like needing only like half a can. See how well. Hey, that still looks good. That's nice. Just says to refrigerate after you open it. So that's, because like my recipe, it's 2 tablespoons of this. So, oh my gosh, yeah. I seem to. What's the dates? 6/30/21. But I assume eventually after being opened, it'll brown up. Okay. Just gonna eyeball a lot of this. So I don't need to get into that one. I need some honey. So this is me definitely prepping a lot of my pieces for this. Prepping as I'm like, wait, is that right? Mix together, add tomato paste. Yep. I was like, I think that gets added then. Honey, because we need sweet. We have the apples, we have the honey to give our sweet, and the tonkatsu sauce is also going to give us a little bit of sweetness into these. I think this is just going to use all of it. Yeah. I'll let that sit this way and we'll be able to get a little more. That's that. Now, some of my wets. My butter's in there. I don't need that right away. Probably should look at this and see if there's any. Gotta get rid of the scum. And there's a good chunk. Now, one thing I have found with this recipe, when you are removing the scum, the grated apple gets in the way. So you will lose a little bit of that, but that's okay. It's okay. Just make sure not to lose all of the grated apple, because then it's sad. You don't have it. Oop. Now give it a mix too, just so to make sure all of my potatoes are getting that. I know it's not in the camera. I've moved it because we're going to be doing the roux soon. Very soon. And I'll also be able to show you. No, I don't want it fully covered. My cheat that the recipe doesn't have, which I probably should add to it because it's something I've been doing for a while now. So I put I think I have something in. Yeah, I have the flour. I think that's mostly the base. It's fine. We're not baking, so we don't need to be 100% exact. So probably won't need any more tonkatsu then. So have flour. First big one is the garam masala, which is a combination. This is already a combination. So garam masala has coriander, cardamom, a telly cherry pepper, cinnamon, and a few other things. Caraway, cloves, ginger, nutmeg. Each mix is going to be a little different depending on where you buy it. There is, I think, a bit more science behind it. So baking has specifics. Like, once you get comfortable baking, you can start goofing around with things. But there's, like, very specific science that works. Oh, this is going to work and it's going to leaven, or it's not. I mean, like, I made a cake recipe. Like, I did the cake recipe this weekend. It tasted fine. It just fell apart. Because I let my stuff get too, like, my frosting was not strong enough to hold up. So it's a lot of more demanding and making sure you get things accurate. Which is why when people are like, I want to start cooking, I say, don't do baking. Turmeric. Huh. One thing I've noticed with this recipe, if you don't add the turmeric and the tomato paste, your recipe will be a bit more brown looking than the orange color that you want from it. So if you make your roux and you're like, and you start mixing, you're like, oh, this looks really brown, just add a little more turmeric or a little more of the tomato paste and it'll fix the colors. Yes, I have made things from the Yakuza games. I love that series. Yakuza is very, very dear to this home. Jeff and I have played through 0 and all the way to 6. And we are currently playing Judgment. Oh my god, this series is amazing. And I'm very happy that it's final. 0 was the one that was like, hello America, play this game, and everyone got really excited. I started playing at Yakuza 3. It was a random like, oh, there's a demo, let me try it out, let me see what this game is, and I fell in love. Like, the story is so good. It is extremely anime, but it is wonderful, and you could play it on like a super easy mode and not have to, and just play it for the story if like the brawler fighting style games aren't your thing. We started Judgment this weekend. We haven't gotten too far, and it's you can see all the Yakuza like mechanics in there, but it's a detective game, so I'm excited to see this new direction. But also while playing it, I'm like, man, I can't wait for Yakuza 7 or whatever they end up doing, because it's going to be a whole new protagonist. It's going to be a whole new set of stories, but still kind of in that world. It was fun to go to Japan and go to the section that Kamurocho is based off of. So it was like, there's the red gates. Oh, there's the big hotel over there. There are a lot of host clubs. Okay, cool. Can't go into any of these. So it was really neat to do that. This recipe does have cayenne pepper. So depending on how spicy you want it, calls for like a teaspoon, and sometimes that does hit a little harder than I would like it to for myself. But if you wanted to make it more spicy, add more cayenne pepper. I do also recommend like serving it with a shichimi togarashi, the 7 flavored spice, so people can decide how spicy they want to make it. You are simmering way too hot. Please settle your bones. Let's see. I'm getting excited about Yakuza and not. I have had a recipe I've tried 4 different times now? No, 3 different times. I haven't done it again. But it's if you go to any of the convenience stores, it might not be in 0, but it's in 6. They had pizza bao. That one's just waiting to get done again. All spice. Like, so I'm like kind of like mixing this. I'm like, how much of this goes in? So this is my way of making the cubes. The curry cubes that you can find at your store, a local like Japanese market, on Amazon, wherever you buy your things. Actually, I've recently seen a few like Japanese curry brands at the local grocery store here. So if you go like to the international section, I've seen it a few times now. So I think those flavors are becoming more popular here in America, so they're a little easier to find. But I could see Sam earlier said he couldn't find any at HB. I guess I saw some last weekend when I went. But we started with playing Judgment. I was like, I haven't done a Yakuza recipe in a while. But one of the funnier things with the food in the game is there's a lot of sponsorships like with companies. So there's a sushi place. I can't remember the name. We randomly ended up there in Japan. It's a pretty big chain, and we were playing. I think it was 4 when they added. No, maybe 5 added it. And I was like, oh my God, Jeff, we went to this place. Not that exact location, but we went to that one. Should make another smile burger. There's a lot of food in there, and it's like, ooh, what should I make? Okay, you found the powder. So I have all my pieces. That's still cooking. So I'm going to start making the roux. I need how many butters? Now I can't remember. Actually. Cut that in a third. Oh my god, did I spell it right? It says curry, right? Because I've made mistakes, and you've caught me on those before. Yeah, I'm a heavy League of Legends player now. In the kitchen only. I can't do MOBAs. My head just doesn't comprehend. Okay, good. It's always possible. People coming in. What? That's right. I get confused with this one. So I ran out of my cheaper butter. I forgot. I made too much cake. Just the good stuff. The good stuff that's been sitting there waiting for me to make. Waiting patiently for me to one day brave croissants, but. Okay, so I'm gonna make. If there is a recipe, I have to fix this real quick. If there is a recipe that you would like to see, let me know. And I will do the research and I will make a recipe. I am always taking requests. Nina is amazing. She is a wonderful game developer, and she has her PhD in hentai. No. No, she's wonderful. Whoops. I was lucky enough to meet her last year in person, and Nina is amazing. I love her. Love her. Oh, Nina has been streaming some Final Fantasy XIV. So she too has been playing. Ooh. All you crazy Dota players, yeah, let me know. I'd definitely do something. So, see here? Yeah. My butter is, make sure this looks okay. Good enough, actually. Let's lower this a I'm going to move you guys a little bit. We're a little closer to the butter. The sizzling butter. Yeah, because it's also been a bit... Man, so I was doing like this Overwatch League popsicles, and then one, I got tired of popsicles. And two, Coats has been boring to watch. So there's a lot of teams I haven't done yet. And I'm like, oh, I should. At one point when I was like super excited about the Overwatch League, I was like, I should also do cupcakes. And then I've just gotten lazy. No, not fair. Not gotten lazy. Got a little less excited about Overwatch. I mean, I watch it every week, but I'm not like, ah. No. Okay, Sam. Jeff and I have been discussing this for a bit, and with the current like I've enjoyed this past season. It's been nice to see some variety, but locking it up is going to cause issues. It's going to go back to dive and just dive. But I've loved the comps we've been seeing this stage. Even though my poor Houston team is going to get demolished, Thursday night? Why'd they have to go against the Titans? Oh, because they lost against Florida. So I don't think it's been like officially confirmed. anywhere, but there's been a lot of like random talk about it. So I've added my flour into here. So this is gonna get pretty thick, hopefully, unless I've like miscalculated some things, which is possible because I'm like not completely following my recipe. But it looks like it'll be fine here. So I could already see here, and I doubt this is going to show it. So it's on the little, it's like a brownish green side because of some of the spices that are used. And I'm like, okay, maybe, so I like spill it everywhere. I might need to add a little bit more of the turmeric, which I'm actually going to do. But the the tomato paste will help with that too. Okay, yeah, this is definitely a little step that I have to be like, okay, I have to kind of pay attention a little bit to this. So people get intimidated by like roux and all that. It's just important to make sure you let the butter and the flour incorporate correctly, and that you don't rush things, and that you don't burn things. So you want to make sure you're not working at too high of a heat. And then if your sauce requires you to start adding the milk in, you need to do it slowly. We are not adding milk in. We want it to be this nice, thick sauce. Yep. Just want to add this in now. This is my tomato paste, my honey, my tonkatsu. Yep. Start flicking things around. At this point, yeah. So you can see with this camera's bad, so I don't know if you'd be able to really see the color difference. It gets a little deeper in the reds and a little bit of the orange, so when I add it to the curry, it'll have a slightly brighter color compared to if I didn't add, because I made that mistake. I did not add the tomato paste once or twice, and was like, why does this look real brown, like green? It's because I didn't have enough things. So that's it. It's kind of nice and thick, kind of chunky. It's the hardest part of this is probably introducing it to the liquids, but I will show you some cheats. Gotta cheat. Cheat. Alright, let's see. Yeah, because, alright, so with the 222 roll locks, I think, well, there was a big fissure after he announced that he was retiring. He like was like, yeah, that's happening, and a few other people have leaked it. I hope they don't. But we'll see. We will definitely see. Oh, that's like the darkness. Lighting's awful there. So this should be nearing, yeah. So again, the recipe called for 30 minutes, but I believe it also should note 30 minutes, absorb, add tomato paste, blah, 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 blah. You basically want to make sure that your potatoes are cooked. That's the biggest thing. The chicken's cut small enough that you're not going to have to worry about it not cooking. It's been in there for a while. You should be very good. see. It says 2 minutes, but I also, yeah. So I can easily pierce it. No, the camera's over there. But yeah, I could just like easily pierce this in, and it's good. So my cheating way of doing things that I've learned recently. So on the recipe, it calls to add it in, put it in a ladle, and then kind of like whisk it in. We can kind of do this in a larger container. So since this pan is nice and big, I'm going to reduce the heat on this so it's not cooking for too much longer. I'm going to slowly add portions of it in here and kind of work it so it loosens up. Because if I just throw this in there, it's going to be clumps and you're not going to be able to... It's not going to be easy to combine it all. I do think hero locks would be nice. It would. I think that'd be a better direction to take it in. So people could say, okay, yeah, this one can't be added or whatever. So the heat is off under this. I don't need to be making it hotter. I am just using this to be able to mix it. It's larger than a ladle, so it also lets me make more of a mess, as is the Vicky way. I have gotten better with it. If I'm making a big mess, I'm going to make sure that I also clean my mess. I will say I do think streaming has helped with that, because now it's like, oh, you're kind of seeing the kitchen a little more openly. So it's like, when I take pictures, I could hide a lot of that. So you can see this is still very thick. As I continue to add this, I will be slowly pouring some of it in and the looser ends just to make sure. This will get pretty filled before we start. You can see it's starting to become a little bit of an easier paste to work with. So, and it's fine if your liquid amount in the actual pot that you're working with goes down. Yes! Nina, thank you for stopping by. You have a wonderful evening. Yeah, message me any foods that you would like to see, and I definitely will make them. I'm always looking for like suggestions. So yeah, if you guys ever see food, feel free to tell me. Hey, I want to see this one. And it'll definitely be a thing that I will start researching. If it's a game I don't play, I will even do those, because I've done several requests on games that I've never played. At the seminar I was at today, make a mess. We had to do, so it was like a leadership thing, and they were talking about communication. They're like, okay, go randomly to anyone, and we're going to have you guys talk and give them 3 facts about you. Any 3 facts, but not work-related facts. So I'm like, okay, that's easy. Well, I have a corgi named Kanji, and he does agility. I have a blog where I do video game foods, and then I have a cookbook. So I was like, there, 3, bam. And the 2 people I was talking to are like, food and video games? What? And the other one's like, have you ever played RuneScape? And I was like, I have not played RuneScape, but I assume there's a lot of food. And I've heard of it, and I've seen it. But it was funny to be at like a leadership thing, and someone be like, oh, did you play this? Have you ever played this game? I was like, oh, someone actually understands what I'm doing. Of course, later they're like, oh, your hobby's so fun. I'm like, well, yeah, you have to have a hobby you like. Yeah, see, it's getting nice and... whoop. So what I will do at this point... reduce... You're bubbling. I'm going to switch places, so I'm probably going to have to... make sure I don't drop that. The sides of that is a little hotter than I want it to be. Let me do that so I don't burn myself. Boop. Yeah, I have to move the camera a little bit. Yeah. And then... Alright, so now I need to kind of slowly introduce it back into here. I'm going to keep the heat on to very low. Whoop. So because I've already kind of like pre-done it, it'll kind of melt in a lot easier. This curry is definitely spiced a bit more than I think you would typically have in a like the little block things. I like my food to have a lot of flavor, so it's definitely one of those like, oh man. Dedicated chef. I mean, with playing Final Fantasy 14, I'm sad because I have so much content to play that I've had no time to do any of the culinary and stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, game, please, I just want to... There's too much content. It slowly becomes overwhelming, but it's a good thing. It keeps me busy in the game. So I am going to kind of eye this carefully because actually I think it's loose enough that I could just kind of, I don't have to slowly introduce it in. Because when I put it in, it just kind of nicely goes in. Now if you put it when it's real thick, it's just going to be chunks. Come here, bay leaf. Don't really need you in there. And just kind of like mix it in. So yeah, I think instead of doing the in the ladle, mix it in, this method is actually a little faster. Like, it takes a few scoops in there just to kind of get it to be nice and loose in the pan, and then you could add it in there into that whole pot of stuff. Now, at this point, you could be like, I'm done. I don't need to add anything else. But I wanted to make sure to cover things that some additional ingredients that Sojiro mentions. And two of those are dark chocolate and Greek yogurt, or yogurt in general. This without the yogurt will be... Let me grab a spoon. Ow, just like jammed my hand into the countertop. Will be a decently spicier. Yeah, at that point... Yeah, I didn't add too much cayenne this time. But it has a kick to it, quicker than it would have the yogurt. So when someone, I've had a few people ask, oh, hey, I want my recipe to be a bit spicier. Just don't add the yogurt. Oh my gosh, please. I'm running into things now, you can tell. I'm getting hungry. Don't add the yogurt. That's gonna cool down the spiciness. Because at a certain point, once you keep adding more and more cayenne pepper, it is going to stop increasing in heat. I imagine, because it has a cap. I'm not a big spicy eater, so my level of spice want is much lower than people who do like spice. So this does call for a half cup. I'm going to do a little less than a half cup because our recipe is kind of cut down. It's just a big old bowl of curry. Big old pot of curry. Okay, cool. Of course, it's while the camera is off him, he's behaving and not barking and on his bed. Okay. I'm just going to add the yogurt directly in there. Putting it in there, it is going to reduce both heat and the actual temperature. So I still have the flame on. I do also find with adding the yogurt, it adds a little bit more of a brightness to it. So, but again, if you want to keep it dairy free, replace with like a coconut cream. That'll give you that same close to texture. I did the yogurt because it mentions it as an ingredient in the game. And then dark chocolate. Now, we can't just like throw in the chunk of dark chocolate because it's not going to melt. So, I'm going to grab my grater again and then make everyone very nervous. I think bitterness of the dark chocolate adds a nice little undertone in the recipe. This time, don't worry, I'm watching. I'm watching my hands. Piece is getting real small. I will eat the rest of that. So I still have a lot of... There's like curry on the floor. How'd that happen? I'm going to get that before it gets on my sock or in Kanji's mouth, because that would be bad. Hell yeah. So, the recipe does take a bit. I mean, with all the chitter chatter and everything, almost 2 hours. But at this point, it's ready. It does make a lot. I mean, this is a huge pot. My hand for... Don't have a banana to compare. But I think typically we'll get... If I do the full recipe, I think it gives about 10 leftover, like 10 portions, depending on how big you're getting the portion size. And it holds well. I found that it holds for like up to a week. It starts getting a little funky once you get past that week point. Like the potatoes and stuff start to kind of degrade a little bit. That's that. And then... At this point, if you want to, you could add salt, pepper to add additional flavors, additional seasoning if you need it. I think it's fine where it's at. So I'm going to grab a bowl of rice because I haven't eaten dinner yet. It's 8 o'clock. That's what I get for having to go across town for work today. Boop. Get a little rice cooker. I'm gonna switch. So I got rice. And now I'm gonna put some on. Ta-da! Ta-da! And then typically this is where I'd be like, this is when you can serve it with a cup of freshly prepared coffee. And this recipe's so nice. Even though it's hot, it's still delicious. It's hot outside. This is still delicious. I love it. So that's it. This is all I was planning on doing. Yeah. I have curry for days. Curry for days. Yeah. Now, I'm probably gonna wrap up because I wanna chill while I eat. Because it was a long day. Yes, rice and potato combinations are real nice. That's why stews are great in general. Ah, love them. They're real nice and they keep you filled for the day as you have to do things. And I appreciate Persona 5 being the game that finally was like, Vicky, get in the kitchen and figure out a curry. Completely from scratch. Because it does require you to get some like funky spices that you probably won't have in your kitchen if you're not usually doing it. But they hold well. And then it convinces you to start cooking with these additional things. I think if I hadn't done this, I wouldn't have picked up things like... Actually, the fenugreek is probably the weirdest thing. Which I've used in pizza dough. It's worked well in that. It's been a weird one just to kind of add a little extra spice. So yeah, I want to say thank you to all of you that stopped by. I'm going to see right now if there's any other... Yeah. If anyone else is doing like a cooking stream right now, or anyone I know, if my phone wants to load my list or not, that's cool. Thanks, phone. Let's see. You know, I'm gonna send you all. Make sure she's not wrapping up. Yeah, thank you all so much for stopping by. I'm going to send you all to... This is a fellow... she does nerdy foods and games. Or not only games, but she does D&D stuff and other fantasy things. Her name is The Gluttonous Geek. She also has a website that she puts her recipes up. She started streaming recently, so give her a warm hello. She's... fairly new to the Twitchverse, so yeah, I will be sending you all over there. Have a wonderful evening, and make sure you have something delicious too for dinner.